Hey yo, what's up, y'all? We got another great guest. Y'all know. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to The Empire, where we like to engage with everybody from pastors to actors, rappers to trappers, and everybody in between. And guess what? We have another great guest for today. If you guys didn't know, my name is Antonio the Miles. I am your host for today. Thump, 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 thump. And like I said, we have another great guest. And this gentleman does some amazing, or I think what he likes to say is ridiculous woodworking stuff. And we'll definitely get more into him and his work. And that gentleman's name is Matt Thompson. Matt, welcome to the Empire.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh man, we're so glad to have you. And how's your day been, man? What you been up to today?
It's just doing yard work. It's Michigan. We're, in April, we're lucky to get a 70-some degree day, and that's what we got today. So I'm catching up on the honey-do list and cutting the grass and all that fun stuff.
Gotcha. Honeydew like the lemon? Like the watermelon? Like the melon?
No, like honey, do this. Honey, do that.
Honey, take out the trash. Honey, take out the garbage.
Right.
Okay.
You got it.
So mowing the lawn is on the list type of thing?
Yeah. It's that time of year where it sprouts, and you get a rainfall, and 2 days later you got to cut the grass again.
Oh, okay. It's like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What was I gonna say? Can put the kids to work?
The kids are grown and moved out, so those days are over. It's all it's all me and my wife.
Got you. The honeydew list.
Yeah, it's not bad. She's reasonable. She knows my inventions take some time, but I try to keep her happy with the things that she wants done as well. So happy wife.
So what was one of the things that were on the list today?
Well, weed whacking, cutting the grass. She had some, she had some other things. Oh, she wants to do a bike ride today, and that's not really a honey-do item, but okay. So we'll get out. We'll ride our bikes today. I know I got to clean. You've seen my backyard bar, but the shed. Nobody sees what's inside that shed, and it's a disaster. So that's one of the things I gotta. It's a typical shed where everything gets loaded into it. So I need to organize that.
Got you. Is that where you hoard all your stuff? Is just like in that shed, it just fills up?
Yeah, and for the videos, I look like a nice, clean, organized guy. But in reality, when I'm done with something, I fling it, in the shed or whatever. And I do keep a lot of these old inventions for about, I don't know, a year or so. Then I end up, just tossing them or something. That's what I got to do in the shed. I think, I want to hold on to this for whatever reason. And the things that I make, they make for a good video, but they're not practical to hold on to most of the things.
Okay, maybe, and I'll definitely talk about this later, but maybe some of those things can be like sold or given away or donated for charity. Some of those things possibly.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but a lot of the things I make are not very practical, or things with wood gears and things. It's not like they hold up over time. They need maintenance and it's just they're just not practical. I mean, I have given some things away that I thought have value that someone might appreciate, but some of the things just it's just I don't think there's a whole lot of people that think I want to have this thing from Matt Thompson, even though it's worthless. I'm not at that level yet. I don't think so.
Matt, don't knock yourself, man. Don't knock yourself, bro. I think faith, man. Have faith, bro. I believe that more people would want your stuff than what you believe, and that's just my opinion.
Maybe, but humility too. So
definitely. But since we're speaking about you, Matt, can you please let everybody know who you are and the things that you do?
Yeah, my name is Matt Thompson, and in my bio I say creator of mostly useless and ridiculous things. I make things that are the balance I try to strike is ridiculous, clever, funny, and cool into the things that I make. And while it is something that you say, hey, I'd like to have that, your second thought would be, what would I do with this thing? So I like to take things to a level that you wouldn't imagine doing.
What does that mean? Like, what does
Well,
that mean? Like, to a level you're not doing? Can you
well, I
explain
mean,
that a little
that
bit?
you wouldn't expect. So, for instance, have you seen the picnic table that I made?
Is that the one
Okay.
where the hot dogs come through
So
and
it
everything like
grills the
that?
hot dogs, and over time, it pushes the hot dogs across the grill.
Yeah,
Then there's a dispenser that with a button where the hot dogs come out of a hole, and the mustard pumps mustard on the hot dog.
yeah,
But then on the other end, I've got a can dispenser that holds ice, and it holds a 12-pack of drinks, and there's foot pedals underneath that. You press the pedal, it lifts one of the cans up to the top of the picnic table and rolls it down to the
yes,
people sitting there.
yeah.
So
It's a
it's
great
just like
video.
I'll get an idea for something a little bit outrageous, like the can dispenser. But then it was actually my daughter's boyfriend at the time. He said, "You should have a hot dog griller at the other end." So it's taking things to, just a whole nother level. It's ridiculous to begin with, but then to take it one more step I like to do that.
I love it. And it sounds like it's like so much fun, like it just seems like it's so much fun.
Yeah, and I think the most rewarding thing about it for me is that to have this crazy idea and know in my mind that it would be funny, it would be kind of cool but ridiculous, but then for me to be able to have the skills to actually bring this big idea together to make it happen is that's the most rewarding part, and then to see the response from people that they like it or they a lot of times they hate it, but that's okay. I'm not for
Yeah. And
everybody.
hey, not everyone's gonna like everything. That's definitely for sure.
Yeah.
And I also learned that sometimes, well, two things. I've learned that you're not doing it right if you don't have haters.
Good way to
And
look at it. Yeah,
and the other side is sometimes people just hate because they can't do it themselves.
sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
like jealousy or envy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I get a lot of negative comments, and that's fine. They just don't get the joke of it. They take my stuff a little bit too seriously, I think. But meanwhile, they're helping the algorithm. I'm
Yeah.
so they're commenting, they're helping that. So
That's the ironic part, I guess, about the whole
right.
thing, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, keep talking. Go ahead. Have you ever had this happen? And I'm pretty sure you had, where people will have like a debate in the comment sections on one of your posts. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, it's hilarious. I'll get some negative comment, and I'll want to respond with something, but I'll just wait, and somebody else will come to my defense or something. It's like, don't take this guy too seriously. Read his bio. I don't even have to respond in a lot of cases. So yeah, there'll be a lot of back and forth, and sometimes that escalates. These guys get a little bit too angry at one another in the comment section.
Yeah, social media is a blessing and a curse. I like to say it's like, oh, it's so beautiful in one aspect, then in another aspect is like, oh man, this is toxic.
That's for sure.
But luckily, we have the luxury of choosing what we want to watch and what we don't want to watch.
That's true. Sometimes you get sucked into the rabbit hole of watching, things that won't benefit you whatsoever, and you'll spend 1 hour, learning how to make, glass things or something.
Okay, I got you.
But I mean, that's interesting stuff,
Yeah. Speaking of something, I was watching this new documentary on Netflix about them letting out prison guards. No, sorry, letting out the prisoners, letting them like roam free. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. But a lot of the stuff that was happening was like, I'm not sure how positive this is for my psyche to watch all this, even though how entertaining it was. And so
were they doing it just for the sake of a TV show, or was there some benefit to doing that?
So the theory was these inmates were on a 23-1, which is like they're locked in their cells for 23 hours and only out for one. And so the warden or the sheriff of the whole thing, he said, like in other countries, they give better freedom to their inmates, which makes a better inmate, which makes a better person for society. So he's like, let's make an experiment where we allow these inmates to have more freedom to be out to potentially make them better inside the cell and outside in society. So it's like an experiment, a social experiment.
Probably a good program. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's entertaining. It's entertaining to say the least.
I have to stop and ask real quick. Are you hearing my dog whine in the background by chance? I just turned my mic. Hopefully not too loud. But
Currently, I heard a little something, but I'm not sure if it was like enough to be like.
Well, I turned the mic, so let me know if it's a.
Oh yeah, I hear him. I heard
distraction.
him. I heard him. Well, hey, I guess we'll have a co guest coming on. I guess every once in a while. Matt, can you give us all a brief story of where you grew up, how you grew up, all the way up to the gentleman that you are today?
Wow, how much time we got?
Um,
I'll try to do the cliff notes of it.
yeah, as
All
brief
right.
as the story you can.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I grew up in Garden City, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit, and I came from a working class family. And it wasn't nothing special. There wasn't a lot of push for college in our city or with my peers, so it wasn't really talked about with my family. And I ended up just as a pretty rebellious kid. I ended up, I wasn't malicious, but I like to not be in school. I like to party a lot. It was the 80s, and I wasn't real concerned with school. I ultimately got my diploma. I met a girl, and we married, and I started taking life a little bit more seriously. And I just an average story of my generation. We had kids early, and we figured out a way to make it work, and we did. I worked.
You got married out of high school?
I'm sorry?
Did you get married in high school?
No, I was 20
Okay.
when we got married, but well, anyhow, we got married young. I think I was 21, 22. She was 1 year behind me. But I had no special skills at the time, so I just grinded it out. I got second jobs. I started doing low voltage alarms. Well, actually, we owned a pizzeria franchise for a couple of years because I had delivered pizza for this guy. So we got a franchise, put us in massive tax debt.
Oh no.
Just because it was on a college campus, and it just wasn't profitable in the off months. And I didn't do anything wrong. It just wasn't a winning model. Anyhow, that put us in debt. So I got into doing like alarm systems, burglar alarm systems for years, and
Cool.
and then I always had to hustle side jobs and just make ends meet. But during all those years, we didn't have money to hire people to fix things. I could barely keep the electric on or the water, and a lot of times I didn't. But we made it work. But there was never a question of if something had to be fixed, I had to figure out how to fix it. So whether it be a car or a dishwasher or whatever it is, roof leak, I had to figure it out. We didn't have YouTube at that time, so hopefully you had a friend that could help you do it. And otherwise, or you just kind of wing it. You look at it and you see, what's stopping this from doing this, and you just figure it out and you go get the parts. And so I acquired all that knowledge. And just to, I guess, jump ahead. The kids are grown, they're out of the house, and I've got some spare time. And, I started getting back into woodworking. At 20 years old, when I first started dating my wife, I had a job with a cabinet maker. He had a cabinet shop in his garage. And so I took a job with him. And that's where I did pay a little bit of attention in high school and wood shop and junior high on how to use some tools. But it was when I was 20 and got a job in this cabinet shop where I really learned how to use the table saw and how to laminate and, just all the various tools. I was there for a year. After that, I got into other things like the alarm business and that. But I always, I had bought some, secondhand tools. And so I always had those things on hand so I could build some of the things, a lot of the things that I'd want to make on my own. And so, it wasn't all the time. It wasn't a serious hobby until later in life. And then in my 10 years ago, I picked it up again heavily. And I was making things solely in the shape of Michigan's Upper Peninsula and Lower Peninsula. A lot of people are familiar with Michigan's Lower Peninsula, but not so much the Upper Peninsula. But it was my goal that everything that I made would be represent the Lower Peninsula and Upper Peninsula. And it was just kind of a creative challenge, but I also wanted to be kind of useful. So I made these caddies where the handle was the shape of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, and they were just cool things. And I was starting to sell some on Etsy, and I thought that was cool. So a little bit later, a year or two later, I was making some of these Michigan shape. You've seen some of my chairs. Well, the back of it is the shape of Michigan's Lower Peninsula, the Adirondack chair. And I got that idea. I wasn't the first to come up with that, but we were actually raising money. My wife and I, I mean, these stories kind of intertwine, but I don't know. We were raising money for World Vision. That's a whole nother story. And so I was trying to find ways to generate money to raise money.
What's World Vision?
World Vision is the largest provider of clean water outside of any government in the world. So
wow.
And they operate on a really low cost. And so we got involved with this Team World Vision, where we run marathons, and we've done Ironmans. We've done, over the past, 14 years or more, closer to 10, we've raised money for those things, for those projects. But we were having a difficult time raising money. And so I said, you know what? One of the teammates was making these Michigan-shaped Adirondack chairs, and said, would you mind if I took your idea and sold them and raffled them and that sort of thing? He said, that's be my guest. So the problem with that is that, a couple of years later, I'm looking at that chair, and I said, I got to incorporate the Upper Peninsula into that somehow. And some of you that are a little bit older will remember this Labatt cooler that was right next to this Adirondack chair, where you could dispense a can of Labatt. Well, I thought, I could make my own version of that and mount Michigan's Upper Peninsula on the front of that. And that's what I did. And that was my first big, can I figure this out project, and make it work. And so I built a prototype, and once I determined that it worked, I was like, this is going to be the coolest thing. And so finally, I got that thing made. It looked cool. It was ridiculous. It was over the top, but I posted it, and that was my first viral video. And
wow, it
just I ended up raffling some of those off for charity. But then after that, I was kind of like, maybe I can make a wine version of this. And then what's something more ridiculous than a back scratching chair? And that's how it all took off for me.
I love that. It's so cool. It made me think about a couple of things, which was when you said the 80s, I immediately started thinking about I guess Dazed and Confused is the 70s, but it made me started thinking about maybe you with a long, mullet, long hair. Yeah. Driving. I can't even think of the name of the car. God, like a 2-seater.
El Camino.
So you drive an El Camino,
I didn't have I had a Pinto.
Oh,
that was it. Us kids in the 80s, we got hand-me-down 70s cars. So, we didn't get the 80s cars weren't anything to talk about anyhow. They were all boxy, and, they weren't, a lot of the friends had a lot of big muscle cars, from the 70s, and, things weren't as expensive back then.
Got you. Back when the Mustang was like the go-to type of thing.
Yeah, well, in the 70s it started to take a turn, but late 60s hatchback Mustangs, you'd see a lot of those around, and you still do. It's Detroit, so.
True, very true. I wanted to ask you, because you said you owned a pizza business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pizzeria, right?
Yeah.
Did working in that industry kind of help give your mindset and approach to how you do business now differently from that experience?
Yeah. Well, first of all, pay your taxes.
Okay.
Whether you can or not. I was, back then, I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, my employees. I think I was paying myself $300 a week or something ridiculous just to make it work. And it was a franchise, and it all sounded good. I was excited as a young man to be able to do that. But the amount of penalties and interest and the debt that chased me over the years, it was just a bad experience. But it caused me to work hard. It caused me to have a second job. It caused me to work weekends. I call it a good thing or a bad thing. For me, at this point, I look back and say that was probably a good thing. It was a character building. I'm no fan of the tax man and the amount of penalties and interest they can attach to someone's debt. But
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't until years later that I got that taken care of. So it was difficult just to pay the bills, let alone make a payment on back taxes. But number one, if you owe taxes, you better pay them, because there's no way out of them. You know, you just don't get behind. If you get a 1099, put some of that cash away for tax day. That's for sure.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. People, you hear that lesson, ladies and gentlemen? That's a lesson right there. Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes.
Speaking right.
I'm no fan of paying taxes. Just the repercussions of not paying your taxes are not worth it.
Definitely. Or, you know, becoming, I guess they say, like, financially savvy, like certain wealthy people, where you know how to, what was it? Like they say, like Trump barely paid any taxes type of situation, where you can understand how to run business like that.
I guess, you know, I don't know those loopholes. I don't know, you know, I think that's geared for the wealthy, so a lot more than the working class.
Yeah, definitely. You know, for anyone just joining in and listening and watching, we are speaking with Matt Thompson, who's a woodworker. We just learned a little bit of backstory about him. He just gave us really cool advice on paying your taxes, folks. Pay your taxes. Pay your taxes. Right. So if you're just joining us, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of amazing guests and things like that. But Matt, you kind of mentioned, you know, for example, your daughter's boyfriend at the time gave you an idea to make your tool more ridiculous, right? So how do a lot of your ideas come about?
Well, it's a mindset. You know, anymore, it's like I have to I look at everything and see, you know, I got all these little ideas that are jumping around. You know, what is a daily chore, and how can you incorporate this into it? Or just it's difficult to explain, but I'm always trying to think of it's an exercise. It's a thought exercise, and just looking around the room, just looking, you know, outside. What is a chore? What's an activity that could use a tool? What could, you know, I do, a lot of people, you know, they talk about how I promote alcohol, and that's not the intention, is to promote alcohol. I do have a sponsorship with a brewer. And so every month I'm coming up with some new ridiculous drink carrier. And that's why I do so much of that. But, you know, I think I'm heavily influenced by the 80s, you know, Bud Light commercials, you know, with the Real Men of Genius. And just you know, back in those days, they did a lot of funny commercials. And I think that's where I get the desire to try to create something like that. But typically I look at different chores, different things that you do on a daily basis, and try to think, can I add food to that? Can I add, you know, a drink to that? Can I figure out a different way of doing it that's funny, but maybe kind of clever at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, some of these things, it's not always ridiculous. That's why I say mostly ridiculous. Sometimes, you know, in my thinking, I come up with something that actually turns out to be, you know, kind of practical and kind of cool. So if you've seen the drink holder that holds the tray steady with bearings, so that,
yeah.
And I thought, you know, after I did that, I thought at first that was kind of ridiculous. But it is somewhat practical if you're like in a situation where you're eating something and you know, you need a free hand, and I mean, you can't eat nachos and hold a beer at the same time.
Say that. Yeah, I was going to say that.
So, and then I made this hockey bottle opener that ended up just being just really cool, that people really want to buy badly. But sometimes it turns up some ideas that are kind of practical.
Yeah, you know, and it reminds me of a device I believe that you made when then I'm thinking about the honeydew work and the yard work. I think you had one where it's like a rake, and you had like a beer holder on that. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Made me think about that right now.
And you know, and most of the time it's intended to be funny, but then I start making the video, and I'm like, you know, this actually works pretty good. That balances out not too bad. You know, I did it with a broom, and I'm like, you know, there's nothing spilling on this. You know, I don't use these things. I make the video and I'm done with it. But they're, you know, it's kind of good to know that they actually do work.
Yeah, and there's probably someone out there who's like, man, I wish it's like I gotta rake this, and I wish I could drink, or maybe you should make like a lawnmower one where you can just like attach it to the lawnmower as
I
well.
did. I
I
did.
thought you did. I thought you did. I could have. I was like,
And snowblower.
it's like I thought I saw one. I
Yeah.
know I recently saw one. I think it's a repost of
Yeah.
It's super cool, but I think you had like a it was for grilling. You put like a whole vest over and like you clip it to like the grill, I think it is.
Yeah, it's like this like the old days, the cigarette girls would have those trays that hang
Yes.
on the strap. So it's a cutting board that kind of holds, just sits in place. It's funny, and I didn't realize people would want that, but it needs some tweaking for it to be useful. It needs a belt around the back as well, just to keep it kind of sturdy.
Yeah, but like it's like, see, I told you people want your work. I told you people want them. People want them, man.
Yeah, some of the most ridiculous things that I think that I make people, like that picnic table. People like, how much do you want for that?
$3,000.
Oh no, I wouldn't even touch it for $3,000. How about 50,000? I never want to build something like that again. That took all summer.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, because it's super in depth. Oh, the machinery that's going into it and everything. That's
the
going
gears
on,
and the chain that spins all those, and
yeah.
But it's therapeutic when I'm doing these things. If I used to be in a real big rush to get these things made to see if it'll work. But now I take it a little bit slower, one step at a time, and it's therapeutic for me. It's just and then I'll wait till tomorrow to see if it'll actually work. And I got more patience than I used to. I think that comes with age.
No, yeah, and I like that, and wisdom, right? And
for sure.
And I think that's super cool, and I think that's another reason why your work comes out so well, and why people appreciate it is because I think people can see the natural joy in it that you're creating it and the funniness in it. And what's cool is that, and I'll and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like to intertwine like therapy and like meditation. Like it can be like a sense of peace while being in that state. Like you can like focus and just be like meditative on it. Am I making sense?
Well, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Anything that you can do that relax your mind. For me, it's, a loud saw, but I got that tuned out. I'm in thought. I'm in, that's just something that you enjoy. And then in my case, there's a reward at the end. A lot of people do, crossword puzzles or, play video games, and they feel a sense of achievement in, scoring this much or doing this or that. And, I don't play video games because I know I'd get hooked on them because they're so cool that I know I wouldn't stop playing them. So the woodworking is my thing. And, ultimately you hope at the end of it, you've got something really cool. Not always. Sometimes it ends up in the fire pit, but.
Gotcha. It sounds like he's like, games are so cool, but I can't touch them. It's like, do you have an addictive personality? Is that what I'm hearing?
In some sense, I'm better now than I used to be, and I think I would have the discipline. However, if I started playing video games, I know that I wouldn't be able to invest the time to be good at it without sacrificing other areas of my life. And so I just figure I'm best off not going there.
Got you. Stay away. Just give me Pac-Man. We're good. Duck hunt.
Yeah. Well, and what really stopped me, and I don't know how far you want to go with this, but my kids, when they were younger, they used to let me, I'd get home, they're like, Dad, play Resident Evil. And that was kind of was the game that they were all into. They get scared and that. But then we got the Wii, and we got that Zelda game, and I got hooked on that, and I had to win it. And so by the time I got, and it doesn't sound like that much time now, but back then at the end of it, it told you how many hours you had spent on the game. And for me, it was like 40 some hours. And I'm like, I can't do that anymore. It's just
okay.
I got other things I want to do. And looking at it now, that's nothing. But to me at the time, that shocked me, and it made me not want to do that anymore.
Got you. That makes sense. So it'd probably be a different Matt I'd be speaking to right now if they never told you how many hours you spent. If they never told you, it might be a different Matt we'd be speaking to today.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think, I wasn't that hardcore. I enjoyed them, and I appreciate the work and the thought that goes into those games. And especially now with multiplayer games and things like that, that seems so cool. It's just, maybe when I retire, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was like, maybe down the line you'll get into it, you know, from woodworker to professional gamer. Who knows? Double
Right,
job.
right.
That'd be awesome. That'd be a cool story. You know, Matt, I wanted to ask you, like, so what's you've designed so many different ridiculously things, right? Mostly ridiculous tools. What's one of your favorite things that you've designed?
Well, going on the not so ridiculous is my backyard bar. That's my favorite thing by a long shot. And that is just a quick, a lot of people follow me just because of that bar. But it happened during the lockdown in 2020. There wasn't a lot that was open. The hardware stores were open. So
Mm.
I needed a shed, and I had this idea for this outdoor bar. And just my thoughts started thinking. We had a lot of downtime back then, so I thought I could incorporate the bar into the shed. And so I was still working, and I was bouncing these ideas off a friend at work. And I thought, what about this structure that looks like this, which looks like the original part of my bar? And we started going through, what it would take to build that, space into the studs, what can it be built on. And I started putting a price list together. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And so, I just, that whole summer I built that bar, and I've extended it since, but that's just something I use all the time. I go sit out there, I watch the game. I like having a cigar out there. I got beer on tap. And it's just a peaceful spot. And, outside of that, I think my, original beer chair, where we talked about a little bit ago, where you sit in the chair, but then you've got this lever that you pull up, and there's an ice cabinet above, and the can comes down. I like that because it like works 100% of the time. Some of the things that I do, it doesn't work all, there's a little movie magic in some of the things I make, but, and it's not, you can't count on it happening over and over again, but that beer chair is consistent, and it works, 100% of the time. Ridiculous, clever, funny, and cool. So, it's got that blend of all those things. So.
Yeah, and I think you recently posted that you had like electric heaters in your shed back there, or your bar.
Yeah. That's I'm at that point now where people are offering me cool things in exchange for content, and something that was one of those cases a couple of years ago where that heater company, Dimplex, those are like commercial radiant heaters, 220 volt heaters, and I've got 3 of those out there, and we just did a swap for content, and they work great. And
wow.
So that way, if it's 50 degrees outside, even though I don't have the vinyl up, if it's 50 and it's cool, you wouldn't normally sit out there. I turn those heaters on, and it feels like heat from the sun.
Wow. How many people can you fit in your backyard bar?
Well, if it's enclosed in the wintertime, if you haven't seen it, I enclose it with this clear marine grade vinyl. But we've had 6, about a dozen comfortably, I'd say.
Okay. Wow.
So,
Does it also have like well, I guess you would have your grill outside, right? Because I was wondering, like, can you also cook in there? That'd be kind of cool.
No, I don't cook at all in there. Now, if I get the right sponsor that wants to send me a bunch of equipment, maybe I'll think about doing that. But I'm not much. My son's a big smoker, griller guy.
Okay.
He does a lot of cooking like that. We're going to build him something similar on a smaller scale next weekend. But me, not so much. I'll grill up some hot dogs. That's about it. Maybe a steak once in a while.
So you're thinking about building your son a custom smoker? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, it's we've already picked up the materials. He's in Chicago this weekend with a friend, but next weekend we've already got it planned out. It's like if you imagine my backyard bar, but it's kind of wide open, and so it's gonna have 2 sections. It's gonna have a seating area and then a grilling and smoking area for his where he cooks the meat, and it's got the same galvanized steel roof that I have on my bar, and so hopefully we can knock it out in a day. We already picked up all the materials, so
that is super cool. I wanted to also ask you, is like, I think we kind of talked a little bit about it, but do you do any custom orders? Like, has people say, "Hey, Matt, can you make this for me?" And we'll pay you whatever price?
No,
that doesn't happen.
No. Well, I mean, I get offers all the time. It's just that I couldn't put a price on it because I spend so much time on these things. There's one time, I mean, I used to before things got big, and I just don't have time to sell, and it wouldn't be even worth it for me. For family and friends, every once in a while, I'll make something for them, if it's something special for them. But I don't sell anything. But that's about to change here soon. I'll tell you this: I just signed a partnership with a game room manufacturer and distributor. It's called Ram Game Room, and they're based in Toronto, but they have dealers all over the U.S. and Canada. Well, anyhow, we're gonna have a line of a lot of things that I've come up with, and so I'm really excited about that. So we just signed the deal, and that's like my hockey bottle opener. Did you see that one?
I'm not sure. I feel like I haven't seen that one for some reason.
You open the bottle and the puck, which is the bottle cap, goes down the rink, and if you hit it in the net, the goal horn goes off, the red light, and I think we're going to we're going to work towards getting that available, but then hopefully get football, soccer, baseball, all those things too. So we'll see how it goes, but that's something I'm pretty excited about.
Wow! First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all, congratulations. I've seen variations of it where it's like it does the same thing, but I think you get like candy or a treat on the other end.
Well, that's another one I did, and I'm going to make something similar to that we can sell hopefully too. But that is more of that was another lockdown project where it's a puck. I mean, cap drop. You open it and it zigzags, and then it falls into a cup, falls to another cup, falls to another cup. That's the one you're thinking of.
Yeah. And then like candy comes on the other end.
Yeah. And there's some electronics at the end that make that happen.
Yeah, again, I want to congratulate you, Matt, and I'm just going to put this out there because the Spirit's telling me to tell you this. I think what's going to happen eventually, and maybe if you want it or not, but I believe you will get the opportunity to make your woodworking and your creativity your full income. Because I think you said right now it's not worth it, but I believe it's going to get to a point for you where it's going to be beyond worth it, where you can spend, and you'll have more free time to do your own work and other things. So I just want to.
I appreciate that, and I hope so. It's just for me to make them with my hands, one-offs here, one-offs there. It just in the amount of time it takes me. A lot of people will call me a great woodworker. Well, I'm not necessarily a great woodworker. There's way better out there. I just happen to be a creative woodworker, and I have some decent woodworking skills. So there's guys out there that are way better than me. I've just come up with some cool ideas, I guess.
Yeah. It's the creativity that sets you apart, right? They may know how to hammer a nail better, I guess, but they didn't know that I can curve the nail. They never thought the nail can curve,
Oh, yeah. I can curve a nail, yeah.
Yeah, see, things like that. But yeah, I'm just talking to you right now. I'm just thinking something just said, hey, I believe, and I understand the aspect of like making these one-offs would be too much time. It wouldn't be worth it. But however it's going to work through your prototypes or one-offs, I see it becoming the main income for you, which will allow more freedom and more creativity, in my opinion. So
thank you. But I like to think just because there's been a lot of possible things happening that could have led to disappointment if I had gotten my hopes up high. And I try to look at life like right now, this may be the sweet spot. I am making some money from this. I do have a good income. It's not outrageous. I'm still working class, but I can take trips. I can make all the things that I want. So this might be the sweet spot. This might be where I'm happiest. Who knows? If it gets better, that's great. But to set expectations too high, that would lead to disappointment. I don't want to do that either. I'm getting a little older now and just enjoy every bit of life that's left at every stage. So
yes, I love that. And I love how you say the sweet spot, where it made me think just like kind of like floating, like on the water. Like sweet spot is what kind of reminded me of.
Well, you hear of a lot of successful people and people that started making tons of money, and even professional athletes, and they'll look back on like college days. That was the best time of their life, and it wasn't the money; it was just the experience. It was just the youth or whatever. So it's important to just look at the things you've got going on in your life at this time, because this may be what you look back on as the greatest time of your life. So,
True. It makes actually a lot of sense, because sometimes the fame or the money can kind of throw some people off, right? I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You see it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Matt, obviously you do so many things. I think you said you did your backyard bar for the whole summer. So what's like the average time that it usually takes to make some of these mostly ridiculous devices and tools?
It varies. It really varies. It depends on the complexity of what it is that I'm making. Like the picnic table idea that we talked about earlier, that took a whole summer. Some of the things that I made early on, I made this back scratching chair, which is just ridiculous. That took, that took a few months. But, some of the other things that have gone crazy viral for me have just taken a couple hours. Like I made this chore wheel that it sits on the wall, but there's an arrow that spins around. It always lands on drink a beer.
Yeah.
And drink a glass of wine. And, I made that like in a couple hours, and that just, got millions and millions of views overnight. And it's just, you never know, some of the drink thing that took, once I got the hardware right on that only took a few hours. So it's just, the idea doesn't have to be big to be successful. It could be a small idea, just like that chore wheel. And, it's just, I mean, if the viral success or coming up with a product is your goal, then it could be something small. It doesn't have to be something big.
Very true. Like,
and they vary in the times that they take to make. So
yeah, one of the practical things that I think I liked that you made was, I think it was kind of correct me if I'm wrong, kind of almost like a spice cabinet. Is like in the drawer, and you can just like kind of spin it and things like that. It had like different spices on it. Or no?
That wasn't me.
Are you sure?
No, I made for Snyder's pretzel. I made maybe that's what you're thinking of, where the pretzel rods sit on a tray, and you open the door and you pull a lever, pops the pretzel up and dips it. It falls into any of 4 dips that sit on a Lazy Susan that you spin around. But as far as, I can't think that I did make a seasoning rack on a Lazy Susan, unless
I call it a seasoning rack, but I don't think you had seasoning on it. Maybe it was the pretzel one, maybe.
And there was cheese and mustard and
on a wheel, right? And it was turning around.
Yeah, and you spin it. And I'm getting to the point now, I've made a lot of things that I forget about too. So I don't know how far back you went and looked, but
yeah, we go deep like the abyss. We try to find things. And
in 1992, you said this, Matt.
Yeah, in 1987, you were at a party.
Oh yeah.
And for some reason, you said that you didn't like a keg stand, but someone put you up at a keg stand. Can you elaborate on that?
No, because I can't remember it. There was too many of those.
Awesome. Obviously you work with your hands and you work with tools a lot, right? What's your favorite tools? I've also seen you work with a 3D printer. So what are some of your favorite tools?
Well, that's actually a laser, and that was part of a promotion I did with X-Tool. But I've become kind of addicted to that laser now, just because you can make such precision cuts and tongue and groove things and gears. And I'm just getting started on this. Most of my tools are still secondhand power tools. I don't have high-end stuff. I'm sure people have commented, like, look at that rickety old, or, you're using these cheap drills. It's like, the basic concept has not changed all that much. And over the years, most of these things spin around with a blade or a bit, and, precision. And the things I do don't require real precision.
Yeah.
But, I've got one new big power tool that I bought a few years ago. But other than that, it's secondhand stuff. But the laser is my new favorite, just because the capability of it. It's and I'm working on another thing for Snyder's right now where I'm using that, and I'm excited for that to come out here really soon.
What do you mostly use the laser for?
Well, experimenting like this. What have I been using it? I made some train. Did you see the fence or the train that I have that goes along?
Yes,
amazing.
So
I made some, cars for that.
Wow.
I'm not using it. A lot of people use it for etching words or names or some sort of plaque. And I like more cutting shapes out. And like I said, I'm still getting started with this. So that I can fit together something. And you'll see soon with Snyder's of Hanover, I'm making this portable pretzel dispenser, and I'm using the laser heavily on that. But to be able to make things that move precisely, and in my mind, I want to do this, and it actually working that way, that's pretty cool. So
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you concerned about for the train about it working right and like your neighbors? Is that something that you typed about?
probably bad. Now I've since turned the chugging off, and that's been. I'm still not completely done with that. That everybody said don't run that track outside; it'll rust. They were right. A lot of people tell me I shouldn't do things a certain way, and that makes me want to see, well, why not? I'll figure it out on my own,
Yeah.
and just, I'll see if I can get it to work. Well, in most cases, they're right. A typical train set will have the power running through those tracks, and the wheels of the train will pick up that power, and that's what powers it. So that was always a battle to get that to work last year, but I've since converted those train engines to battery powered, and they're Bluetooth controlled. So it's just, I don't think the neighbors, I talk to my neighbors regularly to ask if any of my stuff bothers them. We've got a great community here. They come over for chili cook-offs and block parties and things like that. But
cool.
I try not to be too obnoxious in the neighborhood or stay up too late or make too much noise.
I got you. So, have you figured out a way to maybe resolve the problem with the tracks rusting?
Well, since I've converted that train engine to battery, it doesn't matter if they rust or not, because the wheels of the train will just roll on it, rusty or not. So I don't have to worry about that anymore.
I love that. Problem solved.
So you go into something that you probably shouldn't do, then you may figure out how to make it work anyhow.
I love that. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, like, if you figure out a way to make it happen, make it work.
Right. It's just, if you're determined, you're going to find a workaround. You're going to find a way to make it work, and it may be something completely off the grid that you're thinking. So,
yeah, I think that's the beautiful part about it, and I like to think that I have this opinion, and for all of you guys just joining in right now, we're here with Matt Thompson, who's a woodworker, father, husband, who does many great things with his hands, ridiculous and not so ridiculous, unique things, right? So if you guys are just joining, please like the video, subscribe, comment down below, share this. We have other amazing guests, and we're really enjoying ourselves with this. So, I like to believe, and this is just my opinion, that a lot of our ideas kind of come out of nowhere. Like we'll just be sitting down and then an idea will just hit us. And in my opinion, I like to think that those are gifts from God, because we're not thinking about a certain thing, and then all of a sudden, like a clear picture pops in our mind, right? And it's like, where did that come from? And in my opinion, I think it's like a gift from God, a gift from the universe.
I absolutely agree with that. Now, I don't know if he's dropping these beer holder ideas in my mind, but yeah, I absolutely do believe that.
It's so awesome, beer holders. I love that, and like you said, you do so much. So you actually have a sponsorship with one of them.
Oscar Blues Brewery. They're out of Denver. I've been making content for them for about 1.5 years now, and monthly I'll come up with something, a new invention or something, and then I periodically do other brands. They're usually one-off videos, but the ongoing one is with Oscar Blues.
Okay, well, congrats to them. Yeah, maybe Budweiser, if you're listening, Miller, if you're listening.
I'm loyal now. They're Oscar Blues is my beer.
Got you. Oscar. Sorry, Oscar. Oscar Blues all the way. Maybe Oscars, we can, maybe give a little bit more to our man Matt here, a little bit, a little bit off top, maybe.
I won't say no.
Hey, that part. I guess either beer or money, maybe a little bit of both. Who knows?
Well, I'm getting both right. So again, like I said, I might be in that sweet spot right now. Yeah.
I love that. I love
beer
that.
and money. If you go back 10 years ago and tell me what I'd be getting right now, I'd say you're crazy.
Got you. It's I think that's beautiful how life and God works, is that you never know what you're gonna get, but I think as long as you're, in my opinion, as long as you're righteous and positive and kind of moving forward, things will fall right in place. Do they give you an unlimited supply?
Yeah, pretty much. And I try not to
Wow.
be too greedy. And I really actually I have to discipline myself. Between the hours of 7 and 8:30 every night. That's my beer time. There's no um, having access to unlimited beer is, as a young man, that would have ruined me. But
Yes. In the
I'm a
80s.
little bit, but I'm older now, a little bit more disciplined. So yeah.
I like that. He's like, I have a window. It's very smart, very smart,
Yeah, that works for me. So
very smart. Discipline that comes over time.
yeah.
We mentioned a little bit right now. We talked about, God and vision, and I believe you're a man of faith. And I would like to talk to you about your faith, if you're open to it, what it
Sure.
means to you, and how it has affected you in your life and in your woodworking.
Yeah. Well, my faith is central to everything I am. My belief in Jesus Christ. I didn't come to that faith easily. I considered myself an atheist at one point. I was raised as a Christian, then denied it, just because I had some friends that were educated atheists, and they would debate with me, and I couldn't defend my faith. I didn't know really anything about it. Then later in life, in my 30s, my parents started taking my kids to church, and I was like, well, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. I don't believe, but I thought it was time that I would have a good reason why I didn't believe. And so I started watching debates and reading books, from atheists as well as apologists. And I spent a lot of time on it, and I slowly started saying, well, there's no smoking gun that says God is not real, or or the Bible's a fraud. It's actually pretty credible. And I finally came to the point where I just accepted it and chose to follow Jesus. And what that means for me now is that there's a lot of chaos in this world. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of things to worry about. But I can find peace and happiness and allow my mind to think about this ridiculous stuff while having real peace in my life. It doesn't mean I don't pay attention to what's going on in the world. It's just that I don't live in misery because of it. And because, when this is all over, I know, what's going to happen. It's foretold. It's what's going to happen. So to worry about these things in this life, I see a lot of people that are so caught up into it that they can't be happy about it. And, and I guess for good reason. If there is no God, what good's going to come with, after World War III or whatever it is, where is the hope? What's the hope? So that's what it really means to me. I don't really get interviewed about that. So I hopefully I articulated that decently.
Yeah, you definitely did. And we got another one, folks. People who haven't been talked about certain things, and that's one of the great things about our platform.
I'm totally fine with it. It's just not your typical interviewer doesn't ask that.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties about our platform is that some people just don't. I feel like a lot of people are kind of surface value, kind of boring and blah blah blah, and they don't really get into who the individual is, because we want to know all about you, or as much as we can in a certain amount of time, right? Obviously, we can't get the autobiography. And one question that it gets to about faith, and congratulations on finding faith, because I think it's important to have some type of spiritual foundation. I think it's important to believe in a creator, and that's just my opinion as well. Because like you said, like if there's no God, then nothing matters, right? Nothing matters. Nothing.
It's all preference at that point,
Yeah, nothing matters. But what it gets me to think about, because you said that you were atheist for so long, how was the conversion going back to Christianity with your wife? Did she also come on? Was she already on? How did that work?
Well, I had a conversion, of my partying lifestyle when I was, when I got with my wife and we first started dating. I kind of had a conversion back, to faith, even though I was brought up in it. I believed it just because that's what I was told. But then I started hanging out with the atheists, and then I lost that faith. And they actually worked for me at the pizza place. That's some of the employees were about the same age as me at that time.
Yeah.
But one in particular was really educated. He's still a great guy, but you know, we kind of just fell away from it together. But when I made that initial transition, I actually, when we were younger, I was like, we're probably gonna have to break up because I'm gonna start living for God. She's like, no, I want that. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is the right girl. So anyhow, once I lost that faith, I didn't have a strong desire to look into it. But like I said, in my 30s, when I started to say, you know, I want to have a solid reason that I can make peace with, that there is no God. And I say atheist, it was probably more agnostic, that, you know, maybe there could be a God, but, you know, there's just not enough evidence to support
prove it to me.
Yeah. And, you know, honestly, I was just seeking out truth regardless of where it would lead. You know, just, I think there's benefit to faith outside of an actual God. I do. But for me, I just wanted to know what the truth was. I would be fine if there was no God. Is it Islam? Is it Judaism? Is it first of all, is God real? Mm-hmm. And then second of all, who is God? And so it was like a two-step, and I looked into everything, man. I just, you know, I was almost looking for a way to not believe, you know, so I didn't have to live in guilt or, you know, go to church 3 days a week or what, you know, I was looking for a way out. But ultimately, you know, it just was self-evident, and I couldn't deny it any longer. And so, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Trying to figure out, I love it so much because I think, and I'm going to speak for myself as well, I think what most people should do is search for God on their own, not be told, hey, this is what you should believe, this is what God is, and blah, blah, blah. You need to search on your own behalf and then come to your own conclusion, right? I think that's the best way.
Well, I mean, you know, hey, if whatever's right, whatever's true, let that be. You know, if you seek truth, then, I mean, if you earnestly, you know, the Bible says, seek and ye shall find. So in my opinion, that's not a lie, you know, and that's what happened to me. You know, if you are really seeking to find out, you know, let's face it, most people, I think a lot of atheists are agnostics. They believe in God. They just don't want to live for God. You know, they want to, you know, if I deny him, then I don't have to, you know, follow all this. And, you know, so I think, but for me, and so many stories I've read, you know, is just so many people that have really wanted to know the truth and just put their thoughts, their feelings aside and say, what's the truth? You know, what's the truth? Mm-hmm. And but that was, for me, it was a lot of evidence. It was about, you know, historical evidence. It was about logic. It was, you know, but yeah, if you're earnestly seeking out God, I have no doubt you're going to find him.
Agreed. I think I did the same journey myself. I was raised Catholic, and then, you know, you become of the world, as they say, right? And then you kind of get just, you know, and then I think then you start searching. Start searching, you know, go through Buddhism, all these other things, all these other forms of philosophies and religions. And personally, I think by searching, it helped me it gave me a better understanding of the Bible by looking through other places. It's like, okay, now I come back to the Bible and look at it. It's like, okay, now I can look at it with a different lens and kind of get a better understanding. For me personally, that was my experience. But thank you for sharing, Matt. And I wanted to get back into your ridiculous devices, right? One of the ones that I really liked a lot, or the ones that I like a lot, are the ones that I like to consider like the Incognito ones. So like the ones like the baby stroller, right? With the beer chest, or the I think you made like one that looks like a treasure chest, but inside it's like you open it up and it's like a bear inside. It's like a cooler.
Well, I made like this rustic cooler just to decorate a cooler, you know, just make it look rustic for the backyard. And
and it looks really cool. Kind of like for me, it looked like a treasure chest when I was looking at it.
Okay. I can see that.
And then you open it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a traditional cooler on the inside. Yeah,
traditional cooler. And then I also liked the dog bed, where it's kind of like you just carrying it and then you drop it and it's like the dog can lay on it. And I was like, I love these incognito type of devices. Do you have any other type of, I call them incognito devices? Do you have any other ones?
If I do, I've posted them because once I get an idea, I quickly make it. Well, I try to, but the dog bed. that seemed good in theory. We're gonna bring that in the house, but it is somewhat practical to keep in the shed, to keep the bugs out or any rodents. It folds up and put it in the back. Gosh, they all kind of blend together. My brain's getting a little bit older now, but
Yeah.
you mentioned that beer, that baby stroller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of hate over that.
Oh, really? What happened? What did they say?
Well, I mean, half of the comments in most of my posts are calling me an alcoholic, or but it's just like we talked about earlier. It just reminded me of like the old commercials where you do something ridiculous to smuggle your beer in, and I thought it'd be funny to have a baby doll and staple it down and make it just go to a park, and because I guess in Europe they don't understand that we can't just drink beers out in public here in the States. So there's a lot of questions about that, but they thought it was outrageous that I would use a baby doll and a stroller to sneak beers into somewhere. And it was just a funny joke. The whole thing was we didn't even have beers in the park that we were sitting in. We just I actually recorded the beer part in my backyard. But that was a very divisive video. It got a lot of views, a lot of likes, but a lot of comments that were like, people can't watch a video and understand it's supposed to be funny. They think I'm going around town drinking beers with a fake baby.
Got you. Like, this guy is supposed to be a Christian. He's pushing fake babies with alcohol. What's going on here?
Yeah. And going back to that, I try to, and that one pushes it the most, where I try to never encourage people to overindulge.
Yeah.
It's a fine line, but most of it's all intended to be funny. So but yeah, I get comments like that.
Gotcha. And I guess we go back to like, hey, technically you're kind of just pushing the algorithm. So I guess win some, lose some.
I'd rather have the positive comments, but some of the negative ones, it gives you a thick skin. I've been getting those comments for years, so it's just
And I've been realizing, like, in this social media world, is like a lot of these people are just, I guess they call them like keyboard warriors. Like, they'll say anything behind a keyboard, but they'll probably never tell you if they saw you on the street face to face.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Did you ever go on Reddit?
Not as much as I hear, but as I hear, talk to me about it.
Oh gosh, I had I was posting my stuff on Reddit for a while there, and I've never been like a Redditor, and I think I don't want to. There's a lot of negativity there. Well, I had posted a picture one time in one of the groups, one of the subreddits of my wife and I were just watching a movie on, if you've seen, I got a projection screen on my garage, and the bar was in the background, and a fire going, and it was just it was a cool picture of us. And I posted it, and it started off taking off. It actually went to the front page of Reddit, and but then some people started chiming in like, "You're that jerk neighbor that blasts out the neighborhood with this movie playing at night," and everybody's just chiming. All this negative stuff. It's like, gosh, you can see that it's not that dark out. And it's just that they jumped to so many conclusions, and but then a lot of people were coming to the defense. They actually, the moderator or whatever you call it, had to shut it down and put a comment, say this has had the most what was the term they used? Negative comments on this Reddit that we've ever seen. Sorry to the creator, we had to stop this, because they were getting in arguments with each other. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, over a picture of me and my wife sitting in the backyard watching a movie on the garage. And I understand, some people can be obnoxious and blast music. We don't. So that's been my Reddit experience.
And do you still mess with Reddit?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that'll push anybody away. You're like, oh, that's a nightmare. I'll leave that alone.
I'll go there for information if I'm trying to search something out, but I don't post there anymore.
Got you. So it's informative. It's just not a tool to use to post things on it.
I guess. I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, and my stuff is. I just couldn't believe that they would take such a leap off of a picture to make so many assumptions about it, and we were talking about these keyboard warriors that they're just typically probably the quiet type outside of the internet, and then once they can get their keyboard, man, look out.
You're so right. And that, like, I think your works are super cool. I'm gonna keep on saying them. I think obviously they're unique, ridiculous. I like that they like to say, but I think they're more cool than ridiculous in my opinion. And it's a trade, it's a skill that you're doing. And in your opinion, do you think that nowadays in American society we're becoming less skilled and less like trade oriented in our society?
I think it was. I think it's going to go the other way here. I think just because it's been so many kids are really upset about the debt that they're in with school, and they see their buddies in the trades making double the money that they can without the debt, the college debt. And I'm not against college. It's just I'm against going to college for the sake of going to college. If you don't have a job that's going to pay off what you borrowed to go to that school, then it's probably a bad decision. But I think the new generation is starting to see that there's nothing wrong with being in the trades, and there's good pay in it. And so I'm not seeing as many unions saying, "Hey, we need apprentices." I think they're starting to fill up. So and a new appreciation for it.
Okay,
I'm hopeful.
I like that. I like that. It's actually kind of a cool approach because we're definitely down in American society of having people who have trades and stuff like that, plumbers, et cetera, et cetera. So I like how what you just said about people are seeing some of their friends realizing how beneficial it is to have a skill. And what I love about skills and trades is that you can work anywhere in the world when you have a trade. Like you can literally work anywhere in the world.
Not only that, but you can do side jobs. You can do I've known so many people in the trades, electricians, plumbers, some of them with side work and overtime, they're making, around 200 a year. But you're working all the time if you're making that kind of money. But it's a good living. It's physical, but physical's good. To a certain age, then you want to become a foreman, but there's nothing wrong with being in the trades. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, and speaking of, trade work and stuff like that, is there any ideas that you've had so far to make something, but you didn't have the tools or the technical skills to execute it?
No, not yet. I'm trying to think if there were. No, but it's a good question. It's a good question. The truth is I wouldn't let that get in my way. I'd figure out a way to make it regardless, or I'd get that tool, So
I love that. I love that. And again, if any of you guys are just tuning in, we are here today with Matt Thompson, woodworker, family man of faith, and we're talking about all the amazing things he does and his unique and crazy tools and devices and things and blah, blah, blah. And so we're so grateful to have him. Please like the video if you're just joining, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to build it up to share this information out. But yeah, and comment down below. Matt, you've been on, I think you mentioned before that this was one of the first interviews where people asked you about faith and stuff like that. And I'm assuming you've been on obviously other interviews. What's something that you wish somebody would have asked you on an interview, but they never asked you?
It's a good question. You might have stumped me on that. Anything? Well, I like that you asked me about my faith. Most people don't want to know. That's a Pandora's box for a lot of interviewers. Like, hey, this guy might go on and on about it. I like that, but I usually work in even what you don't ask, what I want to say, even with the questions that you presented. If I had something to add to it, then. So no, you've been pretty thorough, and I can't think of a question that I've never been asked, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah, that question seems to throw some people off sometimes. They're like, "Wow," and it's like, you want me to think about a question? The interviewer wants me to think about a question of you.
But I understand that there may be people that want to say something, but they've never been asked that question, so they got it just sitting in there waiting. They don't want to push it out there. They're hoping to be asked that, but that's a good question to ask.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because there's a young gentleman named Julian Brown who invented this pyrolysis device that turns plastic into oil. And I asked him the same question, and he was like, no one ever asked me the type of mentality you have to have in order to be an inventor, and the wherewithal it takes, and the mindset and the spirit and all this stuff you need to be a part of to do that. So you definitely addressed that.
So it is a good question.
Yeah. And I guess another part to that question would be, Matt, what is something that people don't know about you, that could be even close friends, that there's one thing that they don't even know about you?
That's the thing about me. I'm pretty much an open book. I really don't try to hide anything. I try to be who I say I am, and I don't. I just, I'm a simple guy. I don't have aspirations to have, 5 million followers, or to even have a TV show or anything like that. I'm content doing what I'm doing right now. And if it leads to something bigger, like this partnership, I'm hoping that gets bigger. But, I'm just enjoying the ride right now at this point. Like we said, I get free beer, and I'm getting paid for some of these videos. So I'm in a good spot right now. And I can't even remember the question. Oh yeah, I don't. I just tend to say what I'm thinking. So
Yeah, gotcha. And it doesn't have to be like something serious, like I killed a man, and it could be something as something as simple as, like, I played Zelda for 40 hours, and it could be something as simple as that. So maybe
no. I used to play a lot of guitar.
Ah,
But then again, who doesn't? I mean, a lot of people do. In fact, our, my son's in a pretty successful cover band right now. But we were the church youth group when they were teenagers.
okay.
My son was on drums. I played just because I kind of taught them the guitar. My son took drum lessons, but my one daughter was playing the bass. The other daughter would play acoustic and sing, and I would play the electric. So I was like that. I had a buddy that used to tease me that I was the grown-up out of it. And Dwight Schrute from The Office was a drummer in that band with a bunch of kids. Do you recall that movie? Where, but my buddy used to tease me about that. But we had a lot of fun as a family. We jammed together.
Gotcha.
Not so much anymore.
Do you guys still jam today?
No, in fact, I haven't picked up the guitar in quite a while, but we keep saying we're going to.
Gotcha.
My son is a drummer in a band, and so he still pursues that. The other two, they still play, but not along with anyone. So it would be nice to be.
Maybe the next family gathering or Christmas or Thanksgiving, pull out the old guitar.
We say that. One of these days we'll follow through.
Yeah. You might have to just like, hey, kids, I'm your father. We're going to jam right now.
If you want any presents this Christmas.
That part. The only present Dad wants is a jam session. That's it. Yeah. No socks, no nothing. Just.
And that's true. That's true. That would be enough.
Just a jam session. Matt, I want to thank you so much for being on the Empire. Can you please tell us some current projects that you're working on?
Yeah. Well, I'm working on, like I had said earlier, a portable pretzel dispenser. Pretty ridiculous, but it's kind of cool. That's for Snyder's of Hanover partnership I'm doing, and then I'm hoping for some cloud cover to get right lighting. But this one's a little more practical. Anybody that's got like a gazebo or something, they've got the 4x4 supports that support that gazebo. Well, I made like the standing table that will slide across that 4x4. You tighten it in, so it's like something I need for my bar anyhow. But I think it's kind of a cool idea, and I haven't seen anybody else out there do it. So, and it can be taken down, kind of like a standing table. And hopefully I'll have that posted in the next day or two. We'll see.
That'll be dope. It just like slides right in, or how does it exactly work?
Yeah, it's almost like this 2-foot table. If you've seen like at a bar or something where there's a table on a post that you can kind of just stand at. Mm-hmm. And then, well, that's what I've made, but it doesn't have to be permanent. It clamps on. So, so like when we're playing darts and want to set a beer on the table there. And I just thought it would be a cool idea. So I need to come. That's the other thing. I got to come up with some kind of new content. And sometimes it's not as great as some of the other stuff, but I try to keep the mind generating some kind of ideas.
Yeah, active. You know what's interesting with what I learned, and I keep on hearing too from other creators, is that sometimes the things that you don't think that are going to go viral or that big, people love them.
That is the truth. That is and you know that one with the, I keep going back to that where you drink the beer and the nacho stays still.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to take off that great, and it just I went nuts. That's probably one of my most viral videos.
Wow, it's off like a rocket.
Yeah.
Matt Thompson, I want to thank you again for being on the Empire. Let's say 100 years pass by, 200 years pass by, half a millennia passes by, right? What would you like your empire to look like? Whether it's family, woodworking, faith, anything above. What would you like your empire to look like 500 years from now?
Well, I mean, first, faith is most important, you know, for obvious reasons. For anybody that has faith, they know that, you know, some faith in Jesus Christ. That's absolute first thing. But that, you know, he just that he thought differently, you know, and I'm no Da Vinci or anything, but there's some people that just look at things differently, and they throw out any preconceptions that you would normally have, and they just had a skill of doing that, and just looking at things in a brand new way, and hopefully maybe I'll come up with some ideas that are really, you know, helpful and can change the world. So, you know, you just never know what, like we said, what idea God can drop in our minds. So, yeah.
I love that. And that's what you'd like your empire to look like 500 years from now.
Yeah. Maybe, you know, maybe there'd be some fundraising in there, some, you know, charities, of course. And so, yeah, World Vision, we're big on that. And, you know, I really haven't thought about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're getting them today, folks, with these questions. We're getting them today. We're getting them. Yeah. Good. I guess we got some things for you to contemplate on maybe later on today.
I'll have to sit down and think of all these possible questions that somebody could ask me. Come up with an answer. Maybe I don't think enough.
Got you. It's like, wow, what happened if I put on 2 left shoes? What would that feel like? Matt, I want to thank you so much one more time for being on the Empire. Can you please let everybody know how they can find you, reach you, support you, sponsor you, collab? Can you please let everybody know how they can do that with you?
Yeah, you can find me on any social media platform, not all social, but as far as, you know, Instagram and TikTok is where I primarily post my new inventions. But I'm on Facebook and YouTube. My handle on most of them is @ThompsonWoodworks, Thompson with a P. And even if you just punch in Matt Thompson Woodworks, you'll find me.
Awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, I should have his Instagram link in the description. So that way you can also just click on it and it'll direct you right to his Instagram, which can help you connect and direct right with him, you know. And I want to thank all of you guys who listened, who watched, supported. I think we learned a lot today about Matt, how he was driving his car in the 80s and swinging around and partying, and how, you know, he told us a really good lesson, which was pay your taxes, folks, pay your taxes. And he learned that from running a business and, you know, learning the hard way, and that through, you know, owning a business. Oh, I also want to ask him about the CCTV stuff, but for another day. But working in businesses that he had to work on fixing things on his own. And by doing that, he basically ended up doing the trade that he is. And, you know, 10 years ago, he basically decided to go harder in the paint, as we say, in the woodworking, which has got him to this. And that simple devices that he created, like the beer with the nachos on it, has done successful. And his partnerships with beer with, I was going to say Old Blue, but his partnerships that he's gotten based off his tools, you know, it's super amazing. And we learned so much. Again, my name is Antonio Lee Miles, your host. This is the Empire Podcast. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, comment down below what you thought. If you want to support and contribute to the podcast, we have a Cash App, which is the Empire Podcast, which we have also Venmo and PayPal, which are all in the description. If you want to contribute to the work that we're doing, it goes back into the podcast to make great things for all of us and all of you guys. We hope you enjoy them. And again, I want to thank all of you guys for listening. I I want to thank Matt Thompson for being on and sharing his story with us. And other than that, got anything else you want to say, Matt?
No, thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun with this.
I'm so glad we have a lot of fun with you, man. And other than that, we will catch you guys in the next episode, okay? Peace. Oh, where's that button at? It's somewhere around here.